Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. I thought I would bring you into the kitchen today with me while I was doing some cooking, and I figured we could just chat while I make dinner. So tonight for dinner I'm making a beef stew. I had a couple of chuck roasts left in the freezer from the half cow that we got a while back, and these were two chuck roasts that they didn't really look like great roasts because there were big bones through them. There was thick lines of the really heavy, hard fat, and just not really great for a roast. But I figured I could cut this up, or cut these up, and instead use them to make some beef stew. Now, a lot of times when I'm making stews like this, I don't actually follow a recipe. I just kind of throw together the things that I've got in the house. Lots of staples that I've always got, like beef broth or onion stock and things like that. And then whatever vegetables I've got on hand. And if I don't have any fresh ones in the fridge, then I'll just open up a few jars out of the pantry. Today I had some of the baby potatoes. I had some carrots and I had some parsnips. And that's a good foundation for a beef stew. Now the bones and the trimmings and all that from this meat, I'm going to save that in the refrigerator along with all of the trimmings from the vegetables that I'm chopping up. And tomorrow I'll start a batch of some beef broth. So none of this will go to waste. Today was a bit of a rough day. We have a dog. Well, we have 4 dogs. But one dog in particular, we've had him a long time. His name is Duke, and he's the old man of the family. He's about 13 years old, and we adopted him from the animal shelter years ago when we lived in Alabama. And as a matter of fact, it was even before Mr. Smith had retired from Army life. We still lived on Redstone Arsenal. Duke is half Shar-Pei, half American Staffordshire Terrier, and then he's got a little bit of cattle dog mixed into him. But he's all great big teddy bear. A very big protective teddy bear, but a teddy bear nonetheless. And he absolutely stole my heart when we got him. And in the last few years, he's been slowing down a bit. He's about 13 years old now, and his face is getting completely white, and it hurts my heart a bit every time he comes up and lays his head in my lap and just looks at me with those big brown eyes. This morning he wasn't himself when we got up. We could tell something wasn't quite right, and we thought maybe he had a stomach ache because he gets a little pacey when he's not feeling too good. So we just kind of kept an eye on him. Old dogs like him sleep a lot, so we just figured he would rest and he'd probably be fine. But today I went into town, ran a few errands, had to stock up on some chicken feed and all those things. We've got some bad weather coming in. I wanted to make sure we had everything we would need. And when I got home from running the errands, I could tell that Duke was in some sort of pain. And anytime he tried to lay down, he'd whimper and yelp. So I immediately called the vet, and I didn't have much time because they were closing early because of this winter storm rolling in. So I rushed him out to the truck, hurried into town, and took him in to have him looked at. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough time or people to do any sort of scans or anything like that. And all they're able to do is give him pain medication to hold him over until the storm's done and they can open back up. The pain medication they gave him seems to be helping a little bit, so I'm just hoping he can hold out until the vet opens back up and we can get some answers as to what's going on with him. On a lighter note, as I sit here listening to the wind chimes outside blowing in the wind as the snow and the sleet come down, I did see something kind of interesting as I was heading into the city the other day. I went around a curve in the road and there stood a coyote. I shared a video on Instagram the other day about it, but I thought I would show you guys too, because I know not everybody gets on social media. But this coyote was standing there in the road, and as I pulled up next to it, it acted like it wanted to run through the fence, but it wasn't sure. And I was sitting there talking to it, saying, "You're all right. I ain't gonna hurt you. Just stay away from my chickens." And the coyote just trotted up the road. It led me about, I'd say at least a quarter of a mile or more, all the way up the road, just walking and trotting and looking back at me, until she finally walked off onto the shoulder and then just stood there and looked at me as I drove by. You don't see coyotes too often broad daylight, but we sure hear them a lot at night out here in the mountains. I have one last thing that I want to talk to y'all about here today. Back in January, I took a little bit of a break when it came to my YouTube videos. I did 2 regular videos a week, and then my live coffee and scriptures on Saturday. And you know, I find that having 2 videos a week was actually a lot easier on me. You see, not only do I work from home doing Cosmopolitan cornbread and all the things I do, but Mr. Smith works from home too when he isn't traveling. He does a lot of business calls, has a lot of online meetings, and it's kind of a struggle to juggle filming videos and doing all the things that I need to do to make 3 videos a week around him doing meetings, keeping the grandbaby every morning. And so I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks, and I've made the decision that I'm going to be changing up my YouTube schedule. Rather than doing videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and then coffee and scriptures on Saturday, I'm going to do 2 regular videos on Wednesday and Sunday instead. Now, because I'm doing 2 videos, they might have more content and be a little bit longer than I've done in the past. But I think that that will make things a little bit easier for me, because if I'm going to have a schedule, and I like to have a schedule, then I want to make sure that it's one that I can maintain and keep to on a regular basis and not be missing my schedule all the time. So going forward after this video, beginning this weekend, there will be a video on Sunday, and then a video on Wednesday, and my live coffee and scriptures on Saturday. Now, I may have extra videos from time to time, but as far as the regular content, it's going to be that schedule going forward. So the beef stew that I made here actually turned out really good. There was something actually almost sweet to the broth of the stew. Maybe from the parsnips and the carrots, I'm not sure. Now, this particular version of beef stew, of course, I don't have it on my website because I just kind of threw this together. But I'm going to write down exactly how I made this with the measurements and all of that, and I'll put it in the video description down below if you're interested. It turned out really well. And this might even be my new favorite version of beef stew. So that is it for today, friends. Thank you for spending time with me here again at the homestead. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.